Hello and welcome back to the Angry Healer's Guides to Highmaul. As always, I am Inquisitor Ara, and today we're going to be taking a look at Korog on normal and heroic difficulties. The healing classes present in this video are a Restoration Druid, a Holy Paladin, and a Holy Priest, played by myself. There are no hard or soft enrage timers on this fight. Korog is a single-phase fight, but don't let that fool you. The entire fight revolves around Korog possessing a magic damage absorption shield. As the fight progresses, the shield depletes. When it's gone, Korog moves to the center of the room and recharges it. This repeats until Korog is defeated. Korog has several abilities that he will use on your raid. The first thing you need to know about is Nullification Barrier. This is the anti-magic shield, but it has important elements that go along with it. The first element is Breaker's Strength. It is a passive stacking damage buff that increases his damage by 6% every 10 seconds, while Nullification Barrier is active and disappears when the barrier is expended. The second element is Caustic Energy. Now this places the same anti-magic barrier on a player who gets trapped in the middle with Korog. That player takes a fair amount of arcane damage, and it causes them to receive 35% less healing while in the center with Korog. His next ability is Suppression Field. He charges a random player, he seems to prefer ranged over melee, and slams his weapon down on the ground, dealing high arcane damage in an 8-yard radius and placing a void zone that damages and silences players who stand in it. And his last ability is called Expel Magic, but it comes in 4 forms. The first is Expel Magic Fire. Now this is a raid-wide debuff that lasts for 10 seconds and then deals high fire damage in a 5-yard radius around each affected player. Expel Magic Arcane is your tank swap. The tank with Expel Magic Arcane marks their location every half second for 10 seconds. 1.5 seconds after the location is marked, the area explodes, dealing very high arcane damage in a 5-yard radius. Expel Magic Frost creates an orb of frost that slows players' movement speed by 85% within 30 yards. It deals raid-wide frost damage and lasts 20 seconds. And finally, Expel Magic Shadow. This places a debuff on all raid members that absorbs a set amount of healing based on raid size. His final ability is Overflowing Energy. Now this drops balls of energy that explode, dealing massive arcane damage to the entire raid when they hit the ground. This is important because this will be soaked by the people who have the Nullification Barrier, so the people who stood in the middle with Korog while he recharged his shield. And last but not least, there are Volatile Anomalies, which are summoned when Korog is recharging his Nullification Barrier. If killed inside a suppression field, it will remove the raid-wide arcane damage that they deal when they die. Healers, here's what you need to know about Korog. You are going to need a raid-wide healing cooldown for Expel Magic Shadow, and it does need to be a heal. That's just all there is to it. So have your Shaman do their Healing Tide and Ascension, or a Tranquility, or Divine Hymn, or whatever you happen to have, but it does need to be a heal. As much as you may want to, do not dispel the Expel Magic Fire. It gives people time to spread out to minimize the overall damage that ability will do. Korog does most of his tank damage right before Nullification Barrier wears off, so it is important that you keep decent heals on the tanks at all times, but especially right before he goes back to the middle. Whoever gets assigned to be in the middle while Korog is regenerating his Nullification Barrier is going to need massive heals and absorbs while in the middle. That does a lot of damage to them, and it is imperative that they survive so that they can soak the Overflowing Energy. The Overflowing Energy explosion cannot be mitigated. It bypasses all immunities, which is why it is extremely important that that person be kept alive. That being said, that person is also responsible, so they should be using defensive cooldowns as often as they can while they're in there. Well, that is it for Korok. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this guide useful. Please feel free to comment below and don't forget to subscribe. You can also find me on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and the Angry Healers blog. Links are listed below in the description. Also, if you like what you see and would like to see more and better content, please check out my Patreon page. As always, keep cool and stay angry, healers.